All right, cuz so a different category where I want to try out here. Typically we do great storytelling tracks, we do crazy notable bards. This one I want to do songs with great themes, right? And I'll be honest, this is the first of its kind that came to mind, and maybe like more will come
Right.
after this. But one song in particular stands out. I think it's definitely a sleeper of a track because it's not one of his more notable ones. Also, too, the perception of this artist is probably not favorable. He's actually still locked up, and
Okay.
there's been a lot of crazy things, accusations and things that have come out about this guy. But the track I'm talking about specifically is "In the Kitchen" by R. Kelly off of the TP3 Reloaded album.
Man, okay. I know exactly where you're going with this, and let's put it this way. Let's put all the stuff he's already indicted, so
Yeah. Yep.
he's already, paying for his crimes. But let's just focus on the artist, let's focus on the music, and you have to admit, I think anybody that has listened to R. Kelly or that was a fan at least at one point, nobody can argue that this man had records upon records upon records for multiple decades.
Facts.
And to me, TP3 was absolutely one of my favorites, which to me, I would say it was just as good as the R album, which is the one that had Home Alone on it.
Yeah.
Um, that was like TP3 just had so many hits on it, and that was during our high school era. So it was like,
Yes.
man, he just like him and T Pain just had so many records coming out around the same time.
Yeah, yeah, no, good point, and I appreciate you saying that because yeah, again, like if we're talking about the character of the man, that's one thing. If we're talking about the music, the artistry, I
Hmm.
feel like you can separate those.
Right.
Some could be said, the same thing about Chris Brown. I know he just did a show out here, and it was funny because when I heard some specifically women talk about it, you heard him say, "Well, I hate him as a person, but he does make good music," and again. Everyone has their opinion, and you can value that at face and take it for what you may. But
Right. Right.
this song, man, I mean, it's damn near genius. And you think about it, for someone who couldn't technically read or write, a lot of people may not know that R. Kelly couldn't actually read or write, dude, which is freaking wild to even say. But like this guy, I mean, you look at some of the body of work he created. I mean, arguably some of the greatest songs ever made. It's just like,
Right.
yo, that just goes back to the genius of him.
Right.
But yeah, this song, bro, is basically about making love in a kitchen, and he's making sexual references about food and
Yeah.
cooking, and getting busy in a restaurant. Again, obviously on the R&B tip, I feel like we're sticking with that theme today. But one of my favorite lines, he's like cutting up tomatoes, fruits and vegetables, and potatoes.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got that one, dude. And then the chorus, he's like, I want sex in the kitchen, over by the stove, put you on the counter, by the butter rolls, hands on the table, on your tippy toes. We'll be making love like the restaurant was closed. Man, and it's just like it's just it's a
Yo.
dope. Bro, it's crazy, dude. When you say it out loud, like it's actually crazy, but the song hits, the beat is dope, and it's like, bro, who makes music like that anymore? They just don't. They just don't do it.
You know what it is? I think nobody's afraid to just be authentically themselves, because now we've because here's another thing too. R. Kelly was just like one of those pioneers where he pushed the boundaries so far in R&B music. I
Yep.
mean, you
Yep.
you can
Yeah.
argue that a bunch of
Facts.
artists have done different things, but you have to think of music in the aspect of it's a spectrum, right? There's so many people that just do their own thing, but then there's certain people that fill in a lot of gray areas, right? He was one of those people that just he did things the way that he wanted to do it, and it was his voice, the way he wrote
Yes.
songs in terms of melody. He made something sound super catchy. Like you said, that whole phrasing that you just said, it sound if somebody else would have sang it, I think it would have sounded super corny. But
Yes.
the way that he sang it, it made it sound funny, but at the same time it's relatable. And then
Yeah.
and his voice was very soothing, and I'm sure it sounded sexy to a lot of women around his age group. Was
Yep.
like, yo, this was I. Why would you not want to be hitting it in the kitchen and listening to this in the background.
Right.
Like, it's a perfectly fitting, like, imagine this being on fucking the cooking channel, like
Yeah. Hey, and I actually do. While I'm thinking of that, like, just a question for you specifically, dog. As someone who prides himself in the kitchen, you chef up quite a bit. Let me just ask the ear guy straight up, bro. Like, have you have has not to say that you don't gotta like put your business out there where you've been in a situation, but did you ever feel some in the kitchen vibes when you were chefing up at all? Like, does something about the cooking? Like, I'm trying to get in the headspace of R. Kelly here, and it's like, what was it about? Because he had to like, I don't know, maybe just be in the kitchen one day with his, because I doubt he cooked. He probably had a chef, and he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yo, bro, I think I could make a song about like getting it in the kitchen." Like, can you relate to that? Or I guess I don't know, man. Can you speak on that at all? Like,
So, being somebody who cooks, quite often for the family, no, I have kids, so the dynamic is way different.
right,
Um,
right,
so like when I'm cooking, there is a creativity that's going on, but for me, it's based on like ultimate focus and like learning how to do things by repetition. Like you said, he probably didn't cook, so he had a chef that was making him a lot of different meals and things like that. Um, where I could see that happening is if you're having a romantic dinner and you're sitting right next to the kitchen and some things are happening, he's probably visually looking at various different things. Like potatoes were probably there. Um, tomatoes are probably there. So I'm sure when he's writing, he's like, how can I use one word, create a whole phrase, but use melody in a very different way? Potatoes, tomatoes, like it creates this thing that's ever going. So for me, I feel like cooking has a very cool relationship with music. But I think the way he took it was more like, how can I be super creative and create this really visual aspect where people that do utilize the kitchen know what I'm talking about, but the people that just, you know, like to live this lifestyle can also just like, yo, I would definitely put this on in the kitchen while I'm having a
yeah,
one-on-one dinner night. And
yep,
especially too, live when you live in Chicago, when you oversee the city and you're in front of a nice, kitchen and you're eating right there, like why not make that the perfect scenery to, to make love, but also at the same time have some roasted potatoes and some shrimp linguine and shit like that hanging on the side.